You could turn auto gain compensation on if you wanted to. Or you could just turn the gain up a switch. Iris is all the way open, or at least when I left it, like 3.4 or something like that. 3.2. But yeah, just turn auto gain compensation on.
Where's that at?
There should be a button there. Either that or auto gain or something. There should be a switch. You mean my kitchen and living room isn't appropriate studio lighting?
AGC?
Yeah. Yeah, but when you had it off, when I left it, it was only just a little bit left of properly exposed. So I am.
Is the cache down to 0?
Cache is okay. Yep. Cache is okay. So you can pay attention to that stuff. So I am doing a video rig build, and my friend Sean Wade is running the camera and doing all that other stuff. Big thanks to Jug Johnson Productions. You can find him on YouTube. He has been an inspiration for a lot of this stuff and taught me a lot in a short period of time from his YouTube videos and stuff. So I am building it around the ATEM SDI Extreme ISO that I just recently got. And I have it hooked up. It's going to be in here, but it can't be in there because I have to have the cables and stuff so that I can be doing the live stream test from it because I want to make sure everything works and kind of know how to use it all. And I have a little hard drive set up here for the ISO recording along with it. I'm using Sean's little wireless DJI mics, DJI mics, instead of DJI, which is what it should be, because that rolls off the tongue easier. I have a 6U shallow case from SKB here that I got on eBay, ironically enough, from a place that's only a few miles away from me, in Nixa, Missouri. I'm in Branson, Missouri. I do have it connected to the internet already. Instead of, eventually it would be in here, connected to the switch, connected to the router, connected to the internet, but I can't do that and be building it all at the same time and be live streaming with it at the same time. So that's something that we'll just have to mess with later. But I really haven't done anything with any of this yet, except for I tested some of the video equipment just to make sure it actually worked. Some of it's new, some of it's used. And I need to get scissors because the rack screws are tied into the case. This is what we call dead air. Action shot. I hope that was exciting. Oi! Alrighty. I purchased this rack case, I thought used, and it did a best offer type thing, but I think they actually sent me a new one because it was in a SKB box and it had the rack screws and everything. I mean, looks brand new to me. So if that was the case, thank you Hi-Fi Connections in Nixa, Missouri for being nice. Because I did not think that I was going to have any rack screws. Thought I would have to get some of my own separately. So, some this and that's. We have a rack mount surge protector. We have the Blackmagic SmartView Duo SDI monitors. So we have a Blackmagic Studio HyperDeck Studio Mini, not the HD Mini, and for very specific reasons. I am going to use my little 8-port switch here, but I'm wanting to replace it with a rack mount 16-port PoE switch. And then we have this cute little wireless router. I had never thought about using a router in the rack because why would I? You get it to a venue, you just plug into their network and everything's hunky-dory. But if you have things that are set to DHCP and that venue has a DHCP server, then your IP addresses could change, which could make things very problematic. And if you have all of your gear with static IPs, it could conflict with their static IPs or DHCP server, and then you have problems again. So what you do is you have a little wireless router that you plug their venue into the WAN, and then you plug your switch into the LAN, and everything stays the same all the time, and it just works. It's a great idea. And it was only like 25 bucks or something. So I guess to start out with, my camera, Canon XF605, is currently the only thing connected to the switcher. It's in SDI input 1, and this has 8 inputs, 4 outputs, and those 4 outputs are pretty much all aux outputs. You can do whatever you want to with them. Of course, the ATEM Minis and ATEM SDIs are pretty cool because you have the switcher and the control surface, and on the Pros and ISOs, thank you, you have recording to external hard drive, and you have streaming built in, you have multi-view, all that type of stuff. Picture-in-picture, upstream, downstream keys, all that jazz. So I guess the first thing that we should probably do is hook up this camera over here, one of my little helmet cams, and that will be connected, because this is an SDI switcher and those are HDMI outputs, to one of these little HDMI to SDI converters. I have a couple bidirectional ones on order, but I just ordered them today, and so they won't be here for a little while. I did not realize the first one that I got is just HDI to SDMI, and then the second one I got is 3G. So I'm not sure if this one will only do up to 1080p 30. 3G will do 1080p 60. So we'll just have to see. Everything that I'm doing is 1080p 30, so it won't really matter. But hopefully this does go beyond 720. So first things first, I will need a mini HDMI to HDMI cable, because the Contour uses mini HDMI. Certainly not a robust connection. And then I will connect it. I guess I'll connect it to this non-3G one just to see what happens. And I need power. Wonderworking power. Where is the one? I thought this one came with a power cable too, but I could be mistaken. I know this one did. So I will grab a micro USB cable. do, doop, doop, do. We'll plug into there. And this will plug in down here. Ooh, yeah. We have light, so that's good. And I am lacking on SDI cables. I bought 4 200-foot SDI cables. I have 2 25-foot SDI cables on order, and I'll be doing some very small, maybe 3-foots or something for inside the case, but I need to measure stuff first, and that's part of what I'll be doing today. So what I'm using for these little guys is just a regular RG6 coax cable with a handy dandy F to BNC connector adapter. These HDMI to SDI converters have dual SDI outs, so you could feed it to a monitor or a recorder or something else like that, if you were so inclined to.
You didn't want this recorded, did you?
Oh, on the camera?
Yeah.
I don't care because I'm recording it to the hard drive.
Good, that's what I figured. That's what
Yeah. If you did, it wouldn't bother me, and if you didn't, it wouldn't bother me.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so now there should be input number 2. And turn it on. And let's see what happens.
Cool. Switch there. Yep. Hey, I'm on camera. Look at that.
Okay. Now you'll need to give me some direction as to framing here. Oh, that's not bad. Maybe I'll go a little bit closer because I'll be using this as I'm kind of working on the build itself. Certainly not very bright in there.
I guess that's part of the contour there. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's not a clean output?
Apparently not.
Well, that's too bad. Maybe I'll go more sideways there. Okay, so now that that's going, I can put the first thing into the rack. Now, one thing that's cool about the Blackmagic SmartView and the Smart Scope is that I don't know why you would want to do this, and I don't know why it would be important, but if you did want to install it upside down, it has a gyroscope sensor that automatically flips the image. So there you go. I don't know why you'd want to, but it works. So I am going to put this at the very top of the rack up here. And you probably shouldn't use an impact driver for this. Where are you at, Mr. Screwhole? But as long as you don't manhandle it, should be fine. Or as long as I don't manhandle it, given that I'm the one doing it. I hear myself. So how many viewers do we have?
Just one. That's me. So you want me to share it to Facebook? Get a couple others to hop on?
You can see this okay with that camera?
With the contour, no. I mean, it's a little low.
Oh.
See a bigger screen.
Well, then let's raise it up some, shall we? Zoop, zoop, zoop. Okay. All right, so step 1, done. Step 2, we'll be putting this little rack shelf in. Now the rack shelf is specifically designed to screw into these little holes right here, but I don't have those screws because I bought these used, so I will have to do something else. That'll go right in there. Guess there's no reason for me to put that up there if I have to flip this up. And one reason why I bought the case that I did, first of all, the 6U, I didn't want something that was going to be really any bigger than I needed it to be. And so the 6U gives me the ability to have a 3U monitor, 1U of recorders, 1U of switcher, and then 1U extra of just kind of breathing room and whatnot, or more recorders or whatever other gear that I want to put in there. You could do an 8U, but an 8U would just be a little bit bigger than it needed to be. And I wouldn't want to do a 4U because that would just be too compact. It would work. Where are you at? It would probably work, but be a little bit too tight. I went with a shallow rack because, again, the idea is that I don't want to make it any bigger and heavier. Oh dear, we don't need to do that. Than it needs to be. Now, Gator Cases has a shallow rack that is a little bit deeper than this. This is 10.5 inches deep from rail to rail. And it's possible that that will be a little bit too snug, but the Gator case adds another 1.5 inches to it at 12 inches rail to rail. And the problem that I had with the Gator cases was that, here, let's go back to that camera. The problem that I had with the Gator case was that they don't stack with each other. Rack cases usually come in regular, wheeled, regular, and shallow. And the Gator cases, these have male parts, if you will, on the top, female parts on the bottom. And the Gator cases, their male and female stacking parts, interconnecting parts, are going this way. The shallow case has a smaller interconnecting part than the standard size and the rolling case. So what would happen is you could put a full-size case on top of the shallow. You probably wouldn't want to, but you can't put a shallow case on top of the full-size case because the parts won't line up. They're the same, they look like they're the same width, but they're different depths. And so the thing that I like about this is their regular size case, their rolling case, and their shallow cases, they're all the exact same interlocking parts. Just as the case gets bigger, you add more of them. So this can stack on the front of a regular size case, it can stack on the back of a regular size case, and it should work just fine. That's not only specified from their website, but I actually got confirmation of that from the distributor. So that's why I went with this, and plus it was just a little bit cheaper, so that's nice. All right, what I would like to do is do a slide out rack drawer for this, but they don't make any in this size. They're all much deeper. And I could do a custom one, but then that would require me spending probably quite a bit more money, which I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on this project because if I do, my wife will be unhappy with me. So So next I'm going to put the surge strip in there. Then I can start hooking things up together. Now what would be cool, I've seen some other video rack build videos. That was the wrong thing. I just coiled my power cable up around my HDMI cable from the Contour. There we go. I've seen some other video build cases where they have a little patch panel back here, which I would like to do so that you don't have to like fiddle inside of it to connect and disconnect things. But, and they have a PowerCon connector as one of those ports. That's cool, especially if you have a bunch of PowerCon gear, cables already. But what I would rather do, what I think would be cooler, would be to have an inset IEC connector in here. Not IEC, just regular 3-prong power cable. Male connector in here, and then you could just get a drop cable, plug it right into the side of the case. There's a guy that I know that does that with his guitar rig, and it's really cool. I don't know why I'm still holding this while I'm doing this stuff. So now I'm going to switch over to this camera and install this in the back. I assume that will sit down flat, no problem, with the gear inside. So I'll have to go to Menards or Home Depot or someplace and get a couple screws. I assume this uses an M8, but that is just a guess because a lot of Japanese stuff, a lot of Asian things, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be Japanese electronics, use M8 screws. Now, I made a diagram. Ooh, when I get to the point of connecting the laptop up to there, I could show that diagram of all the internal gear, and I made it, basically I made an Excel spreadsheet of the size of the rack in 1/4-inch squares, and then I did all of the equipment based on product specs to make sure everything was going to fit and how I needed to lay things out. So for instance, in here you can see that there are going to be cables sticking out of the back of this, and there are going to be cables sticking in the back of this, and underneath here I was going to, no, actually that's wrong. I was going to put the switch at the very top, so I need to move that down a U. And the reason why I was going to do that is because the switch is like 7 inches deep, and this is, the monitor is only about 1 inch deep. So that should give me a couple inches of gap in here, and then this is only about 4 inches deep, and so I can bring that down and it should still clear these cables right here. And so this will be open air, and then this is about 6 or 7 inches deep, so I'm not going to have anything directly behind it. And then I'll have the switch down here, switcher, and if I did do a patch panel, it'd probably be just down here at the very bottom. Glad I realized that before, that's the wrong way, before I went too far into things. I don't have any idea how long this live stream is going to be. So all of my 14 fans.
Yeah, 7 and
Bear with me. Yeah, but most of them I don't have any idea who they are.
That's a demon who's big.
I'm gonna switch over to the Canon. I'm sure I know who some of them are. I know at least one.
Who?
You. Actually, I know at least two because my daughter Jaylee, she said that she likes to, well, I don't know, I guess I don't know if she's actually a subscriber or not. She may just watch the videos. But she did tell me that she likes my videos because they put her to sleep. So there you go.
Wait till she watches this one.
I did. So many people were doing live streams on Facebook. This was, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that. And so I thought, ooh, I should do a live stream on Facebook. So I did a live stream of me sleeping. Like I just I did it from my cell phone, put the cell phone down on the charger, and went to bed. And so it's like 7 or 8 hours. I don't know. It may have been like 4 hours. I think Facebook does have a time limit on their live streams. But yeah, I was like, well, hope you guys enjoy it. Good night. Okay, so now that we know that one's working, I guess I could hook up this other camera. I have another converter, and I have another mini HDMI cable. Oh. And I have the power adapter for this one. Blackmagic commonly does not give power adapters or power cables with their products. Now, generally, things like the HyperDeck. Hi, two watching.
Somebody else is joining.
Things like their HyperDeck, WebPresenter, and all that, they just use normal IEC cables. And actually, I guess I can talk about it now. One of the reasons why I chose this specific one is because it supports PoE. So I can charge it directly from the switch, network switch, and not have to use an IEC cable, an extra IEC cable in the rack. Does it happen to say who said second watcher is?
No, it says 2 watching.
Maybe there are some analytics.
Maybe it's Bailey.
Maybe it is Jaylee. Jaylee, is it you?
I'm sure she
Send me a text message if it's you.
might be sleeping though. Might have time to.
I don't think she'd be sleeping. It's like, what, 7:30, 8 o'clock? Oh, you're saying she could have gone to sleep because of the video already.
Yes.
I see.
I was making
Sean Wade. Now, I don't know how long that other camera is going to last because these batteries, they only last about 45 minutes or so nowadays.
How long will be going for? Like 15 minutes?
I don't know.
Every time we cut to it, we see the timer.
HDMI in general is not a robust connection, certainly not a professional connection, but mini HDMI, even more so. And then there's micro HDMI. All right. So let's switch to this one and see what that looks like.
Andy Jackson is calling me.
Bambi is calling you.
Hello? I am at your house.
Okay, well that's not bad.
Doing a live.
We're live streaming on the internet and you are disturbing us.
Not on speaker, but
Okay, so that's not bad. So I have 3 good shots, and then you could just use that one for whatever you want to do now.
making sure everything was working. So check us out on Facebook. We could get a third watcher.
I'm a wheel watcher. I'm a wheel watcher. Okay, so I will plug this in, maybe over here.
I got the smaller one. Is that small one 40? Or is that?
Is there somebody saying something in the chat?
No, no one's saying anything.
Oh, okay.
Well, someone else is watching. There's two watching. One is me.
That's
someone
right.
else. But we don't know who.
The mystery person.
You should talk to the camera and say, hey, whoever you are.
That was a fast switch. I'm sorry.
Where'd you go to?
I switched to 1 when I wanted to switch to 2. So that's what's called bad directing. Okay. So Sean again is having one of his evening private calls with my wife.
Wow, okay, great.
Oh yeah. All right. So this guy will go here in the front. And it, like I said, it doesn't have the screws.
Probably metal.
And since it doesn't have the PoE switch yet, I'm going to have to use this here IEC cable.
Cool, appreciate it. Hey, I have a question for you. Did you keep those, the cut ribbon that we did the other day? Do you know, are they in a place where I could grab one? Or are they like hidden, like, in stuff?
I probably should have done this before I did the monitor.
Of what desk? JJ's desk? You have a desk? Oh, no, the same desk? Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay.
So for the meantime, I will just tie this up.
Well, you should log in onto YouTube, on your husband's YouTube, and leave a comment.
Thumbs up, like and subscribe. I hate when people say that. Smash that button. Like a dork. All right. So this is not going to be pretty, but that's okay. It's a temporary thing. Let's see, that needs to go like this. You can get these little Velcro strips fairly inexpensively at Home Depot. Actually, let's see. Some of this stuff might have made more sense to do. I'm going to switch to that since I'm basically covering the camera. And you can't see inside, so. Ooh. I have my tongue out. That means I'm concentrating.
Yep, that's what that means. I've seen it many times.
But yeah, it'll be nice when I have the PoE switch in here. Then,
Whoever it was, give us a thumbs up.
hey, a thumbs up! Thumbs up to you too. Still don't know who you are though.
I'll give a thumbs up too.
Maybe it's Doug Johnson. Maybe he like picked it up in the spirit. Said, hey, I'm going to go say hi to that kid.
Oh, we have 3.
3 people?
But only 2 are watching. What's that about? How's that?
How can you have
Someone's
3
anonymous.
people not watch, someone not watching
I don't know.
is the question. All right, so since I'm messing with the Hyperdeck here, I guess it'd be a good time to talk about why I chose this one. Oh, that's supposed to be there. That seems unnecessarily tight. Oh, that's because of the cable. Okay, so this is the Studio Mini, which is a few years old now. It was replaced by the Studio HD Mini. And you might say, well, hey, why didn't you get the new one? Multiple reasons. There are some benefits to the new one. One benefit is that it has time code in and out, so you can do pass-through. This one does not have that. It does get time code from the SDI in, but it cannot send time code anywhere. I guess it could send time code through the SDI out, potentially, but I'm not sure. The new HD Mini supports, it has ref in and ref out, which this one also does. The benefit, oh, and it has an SDI loop, which is nice because I'm not sure if the power has to be on in order for the SDI to pass through, but whether it's in playback or record, it'll still pass that SDI out. This one, it will only, how does our cache looking? Oh, it says okay, good. So, nice and smooth looking. This is using the streaming high, which I think is around 9 megabits per second. This down here says 6.3 megabits per second, okay. So there you go. So the Studio Mini, first of all, it has 6G SDI inputs and outputs. Whereas the HD Mini only has 3G, so it only does 1080p 60. This will do 4K 30. So it can record in 4K, and it can send out in 4K, but that won't affect me at all because my switcher here only does 1080p. But another benefit of the Studio Mini is that it has 2 SDI outputs, so you can use it for transparent graphics, lower thirds, things of that nature, which the HD Mini does not. Now, the reality is that I probably won't be doing that from the SD card, pre-rendered videos, things of that nature. I could, but if I was going to do lower thirds, that type of thing, it's probably going to be live from like ProPresenter or something like that. And I could just do chroma key, luma key, something of that respect. So that isn't a big deal to me, but it is nice to have that ability. It's nice to be able to record 4K if I was so inclined to. And originally, this one only supported ProRes and I think DNX HD, but it has since, through firmware updates, added MP4 support, H.264. And so if it only had those professional codecs, the new HD Mini does support H.264. And so if this didn't, then that could have been a swing towards the HD Mini. But in this case, the firmware update gave it. So there's really, I can't think of many legitimate reasons to go for the HD Mini over this. Also, it is like $500 new for the HD Mini, and I got this for like $350. So that seemed kind of a no-brainer to me. Now, there is the upgraded, the big brother to the HD Mini, which is the HD Plus, I think. And it uses a half rack instead of a third rack. You can fit 3 of these side by side. And it supports everything that this does and then more. For instance, it has RS-432 pass-through, so you could link multiple recording decks together, hit one record button, and them all start recording at the same time. Hit the stop on one, they all stop recording at the same time. This does have RS-422 in, it does not have out, and my understanding is you can't split that control cable, you can only daisy chain. So I can't do that, but because you can control up to 4 hyperdecks from the ATEM software, well, from the switcher, you have to configure it in the software, You could do a macro that starts and stops up to 4 of these hyperdecks in real time, automatically. So to me, it's a win-win to get these. And I don't need to get a whole bunch of these to do ISO recordings because the switcher does ISO recordings.
3 watching.
3 watching. Sweetness. Okay, so the hyperdeck is plugged in. I need to feed the hyperdeck a signal. Let's see. All I have are these big old 200 footers now, so I am not going to do that currently, but I will have 2 SDIs coming out of the hyperdeck into channels 7 and 8 on the switcher, and then I will have SDI out number 2 going into the hyperdeck. Oh, excuse me, 3, because 1 and 2 will be going to those, which I should probably go ahead and do, and I will have to use these because these are the only ones that I have left. So I'll have to go get one of my other ones and actually open it up because it's still in the sealed packaging. So I will have my left screen set up for multi-cam or multi-view, and the right screen will be program. You could do preview on the left and program on the right if you were so inclined to. Oy. All right, so this will be on. Thank you. So this will go into SDI out 1. And these buttons right here define what goes out SDI 1. I currently have it on MV, which is multi-view, but at any time I could just hit a button and switch it to something different. I can do cameras 1 through 8. I can do clean feed, which doesn't have the keys. I can do preview. I can do multi-view. I can do program. The outputs 2, 3, and 4, I'd have to configure in the software. Oh, and with that being said, if I wanted to change those on the fly and I didn't have the software, I could always program a macro to do that. All right, I'm going to switch over to this camera. Show me plugging stuff in. So I have to deal with that little power cable there. So, oh, which one's the in and which one's the out? Okay, out is on the right side and in is on the left side. So I'll just leave this here so that there's some extra light for the camera. So 1 is going into the in on the left. And I'll have to unwrap this. These cables I got specifically because Adorama, which sells a lot of used gear at good prices, generally SDI cables are about $1 a foot. And that means a 200-foot cable would be in excess of $100. Now, as they get longer, sometimes you can, get better deals on them, kind of that bulk pricing concept. But these were $32. So they had 4 of them, and I said, I will take all 4 of them. Thank you very much. Because I will need these for cameras. Generally, I would assume that cameras will not be over 200. We have a comment?
Danielle Moore. Go, Josh.
Danielle!
Exclamation point with the bicep move.
Look at you doing stuff on YouTube. Now, the interesting thing about her is much like, you remember Mina?
Mm-hmm.
Never took her husband's last name. Yes, that's right. For the whole world to watch and hear. Oh, I said it to the wrong camera.
Yeah.
I love you, Danielle. So apparently she's subscribed to me and I didn't even know it. Oh boy, some of this stuff you'd think I would have had done ahead of time. Well, some of it I did, just not all of it.
Keep it rolled up and like pass it through.
Yeah, I guess that's possible. There we go. All right. So this, ooh, that's tightly coiled. That will go SDI out, number 2. Oh, that's interesting. That cable end is different than the other 2 cable ends. Oy. Oh dear. A little extra tape on that one. Oh my. Okay, so this will go into SDIN on the right side monitor. Get off my finger tape. I think this is the first time I've ever done a legitimate live stream on YouTube. I did some tests, like with Dad's camera when he first got it and stuff, but nothing legitimate. And I need power for that, because that does have network jack, but it is not PoE. So I will need, is it this one? I believe so. It says Blackmagic Dual Display. And one reason why I chose this specific surge strip was because I wanted to have some front ports so that I could just plug stuff in, random things at random times. But I wanted to have enough inputs in the back that I could plug all the stuff in and leave it plugged in and not have things cluttering up the front or have to unplug them to put the case cover on. And I would have preferred to have a couple USB ports on there, plug in cell phones and whatnot, but that was not to happen. And I would have rather had more of these in the back, but that didn't happen either.
How many are on the back?
I think there's 6, which means that I probably can't have the HyperDeck plugged in and have everything else plugged in that I need to. So when the time comes, I'll have to yank that out. But again, that's going on PoE, so it shouldn't be an issue. Get a little Velcro tie. I like Velcro ties. I'd like to thank Sean publicly for coming over and doing this with me. I spent 5.5 hours editing his video audio today before we did this. I'd say he owes me, but he's doesn't need to owe me. That's what friends are for. In the good times and the bad times, I'll be on your side forevermore. Oh. Actually, I should not do that to where it's hanging down like that. So I will do this. Can't really see anything in here. It's awfully dark inside this case. Now, my camera bag has LED lights on the inside of it. I have a Satchler Dr. Bag 30 that I got for a very good price on the internet. I think it was Facebook Marketplace, if I remember correctly. Okay, so now, if we switch over to camera 1, look at that. We have images. Now I have this currently set up to, when I hit the button, it automatically switches. It's just set up for cut bus, but instead of preview and program. But you can see, oh, we have program over here, preview here, program, camera 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the recording, the hard drive recording, and the streaming information. So I'm going to have the HyperDecks coming in on, now, actually that's incorrect because I had already pre-configured this to where I have cameras 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have the computer, and then I have the HyperDeck. Now I had the HyperDeck set up for 7 and 8 as key and fill, and there's no reason to have the key and fill visible on there. So I just have the fill set up on there, which, well, I guess I might as well set, I wish I had more SDI cables because I don't have anything on this card to play back, and so I guess I could do a quick recording on it and then switch the cable and do a quick playback. So if you will hold on for just a moment, entertain yourself. Huh? Oh, yeah. Oy. Filling up my trash can. So, these are just regular RG6 cables. I mean, they're pre-made, but they have SDI connectors on the ends, you know, just a regular coax cable like you'd use for your television. The interesting thing, and you can, obviously you can make your own, just go to your Home Depot, Menards, whatever, and buy bolt cable. If it is 3 gigahertz, which this says 3 gigahertz on the actual cable itself printed, that will do 1080p 60 just fine. And so if you want to go to 4K though, then you need to go up to a 6 gigahertz cable. I'm not sure if you can do what 4.5 gigahertz is, because if 6G is 4K 60 and 3G is 1080 60, no, excuse me, 6G is 4K 30 and 3G is 1080p 60, I say 4K, it's actually 2160. I'm not sure what 4.5 is. Maybe it's like 2K or something. But I've seen some cables that say 4.5 on the cable itself, but I don't know what that works out to as far as resolution and frame rate is. But point that I'm making is you can just buy regular RG6 coax cables and do 1080p just fine. Now, your distance may be an issue, but in this case, these are 200-foot cables, and they're doing the 1080p 30 stuff that I'm doing with no issue. But if you're wanting to do 4K, and especially if you're wanting to do 4K for, you know, hundreds of feet, then you really need to get good quality, proper SDI cables, 12G SDI cables. SDI is rated for 100 meters, kind of like network cables. So if you go beyond that, then you can start having an issue with your video signal. So if you want to go, or if you need to go further than that, then you need to switch over to fiber, which would be cool, kind of to work with. I never have. A lot of the Blackmagic products support fiber, but not the regular SIM fiber that professional broadcast cameras use, because those things are expensive. But it uses regular kind of networking style fiber, and they have a camera converter that'll take a regular HDMI or SDI signal and convert it to fiber, and you can go miles, I guess, over cable. All right, so I am going to first send the HyperDeck from output 3. And so I will do a quick recording, and just to show it in action, then I will switch the cables around and bring the HyperDeck into the switcher. So, switch that over to here. And so I'm going to plug this into the SDI input right down here. And you can see that there's a single SDI in, 2 SDI outs. There's an HDMI monitor out. That is not a clean feed. That shows, oh, excuse me. On this, it might be a clean feed. I may be thinking of the web presenter. It has a monitor out that displays a whole bunch of statistics. There's the RS-432 input, ref in, ref out, USB-C that is not for recording to a hard drive. The HD Mini USB-C you can plug an external hard drive into and record. And then network, which supports PoE as well. All right, so switch back over to the main camera. And we have video coming in here. We have audio. And so all I have to do is, oh, these are new cards, so I should probably reformat them. So let's see, let's go to menu, and I can choose what codec that I want to use. Defaults to ProRes HQ, if I remember correctly. You can go through, you can do DNX HD, DNX HR, MP4, H.264, and so I'm just going to use H.264, that's fine. And if you want to create files that this supports that are H.264, DaVinci Resolve has a preset that works very well with it. And so I need to come down to reformat card, and I'm going to reformat SD1 and SD2. I'm going to use exFAT format. Are you trying to do like a cool cinematic crawl? And then I'll do SD2, exFAT. Oh, the top handle zoom?
Yeah, I was doing this one, so that was too fast.
Oh, yeah, I have it set on 3. Well, I think maybe you had set it, you had told me that 2 was too slow.
Oh, there's no in between?
Well,
Is that what 2 was before? It was on
2,
before?
well, keep in mind that you're also a lot closer. So when you were shooting, you know, across the building, 2 might have been too slow, but it may be perfect for this distance. But yeah, you can change it if you want to. It's in the menus. Okay, so those are formatted. And so now I will go ahead and hit record. And it's recording. Blah, 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 blah. I'll do some switching. So it can have some different things on it. Doopy doopy doo. Doopy doopy doo. If I remember correctly, I'll have to double check on the computer here, but I believe I have 2, 3, and 4 set program. Let's see, outputs 1. Yeah, program, program, and program.
The battery has 47 minutes left, so we could plug it in on the
This one?
This.
Oh, 47 minutes. That means we've been going for a while, because that gets over 2 hours. We've been going for over an hour?
Oh yeah, sure.
Ah. Okay.
Oh, well yeah, an hour and 1.
And that was the second one. This camera was on, and we did the first run, and then we waited and ate strawberry shortcake. And all right, so we can stop that. And you can see it has time code coming in from the switcher. So now I will switch this around, and I will take this output and put it into SDIN 7, I believe is what I had set up for Phil. And I will switch this from the input to the output. And I'll put it in output A. Output B would be key, if there was key. So now if I hit 7, does that show something? It does not. Here we go. And so I can hit play. And there you are. Now, one thing that I've found annoying about the HyperDeck, and I assume it's something that plagues all the HyperDecks, not just this specific one, is if there are multiple files on it. Okay, well, first of all, let me say 2 things. One, what's that? What audio was it getting?
Is it getting? Oh, did you turn it and stop it? Or is it?
That recording audio was never being sent. I only have this microphone going live. But yes, thank you. That'd be a good point. I could have been talking and talking and talking and wouldn't have heard anything. I have all the inputs, all the video input audios off. So one problem that I have with the HyperDecks is that, and again, I think this plagues all of them, is that it will only play back video files that are in the format of what it's set to record to. So if I have it on MP4, that means it'll only play back the MP4s. If there are ProRes files, DNX, HD, or R on there, it won't even recognize them. And so you have to be mindful of what format you have it set to record to and have the files to play back in the same way. And then secondarily, there was a weird thing to where, like, it would only show certain, I could be mistaken on that. It might be okay, I don't recall specifically, we did a lot of different testing. But there were times where the files didn't seem like they were in alphabetical order. And so we'd put like different files on there and they played back illogically. But the main problem was that if there are multiple files, it will play from whatever file you start all the way to the end of the card. So if there are 5 files on there and you want to play back file number 3, it will play 3 and 4 and 5. And there's no setting that you can do to turn that off. But what you can do is through the ATEM software, you can tell it to play and it will play only one file. but I don't have it set up for all that control yet. That's something that I'm going to be doing, because pretty much anywhere that I'm going to have this, I'll have my laptop with me as well. And you could do macros. One of the reasons why I got this specific one is because there are 6 macro buttons. The 1ME, the Constellation HD 1ME, I was also looking at. They're similar price, and it has 10 inputs and 6 outputs, whereas this has 8 inputs and 4 outputs. But some of the disadvantages of it is that this has Super Source, which I guess we could probably do right now, and probably have to define what that uses. Okay, so that doesn't have anything on there. So for Super Source, I'm going to, well, let's just do this 4 up right here. And we will do box number 1, source will be camera 1, box number 2, source will be camera 2, 3, I think you can see where I'm going, and 4. So that's cool. The Constellation, the 1ME, does not have that. This and that one are both 1ME switchers. This has 4 upstream keys and 2 downstream keys, and it has picture-in-picture, and really you can even do 2 picture-in-picture. So let's see, DVE1, let's do number 1, and DVE2, let's do number 2. Take it on air, and so there should be 2 side by side, camera 1 and 2.
Yep, with this as the background.
All right.
I got it.
That one's dead, so I'll turn that off. Oh, you have another.
Yeah, I brought in there.
Well, look at you doing stuff. All right, so we have done playback and we have done recording on the HyperDeck. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this, because I'm going to need to use this for the next thing, which is connecting the laptop. So that's going to be in input number 6. And this laptop does not have HDMI, but it does have USB-C, which I can't have that connected to the ATEM software and this at the same time, but that's okay, I think. So I'm going to disconnect that. I'm going to connect this. I need an HDMI cable. Oh, but I don't have another converter, so I will, why don't you go ahead and stop that one. You can just set that down there. So, oh, I guess I didn't have to disconnect that after all. I just need an HDMI cable. Doop doop doo. I just dropped the SDI cable. I didn't think about needing an HDMI cable, but one was handy. Okay. And let's see, is that power still there? No. Did the power drop down to the floor?
Yeah.
Would you be so kind? I always rely on the kindness of strangers.
Not a stranger. No, no one moved that slow.
Gone with the Wind? Maybe? All right. So, number 6 will be the computer. And let's see, system, display, don't want to duplicate. Let's extend. All right. Oh, that's coming in through 3 because I didn't switch the cables. Oh. So 6. Yay. All right. Did it go back to... Oh, I probably didn't confirm the change. Extend. Keep settings. There we go. Okay, so number 2. Yep. That is 1080p. And it should be advanced display settings. So that's 5994, which is fine because I'm doing 2997, so it's just having it. So what I can do is do something like... Oh yeah, I was going to show that diagram. Let's see. Oh, there's Excel. Oh, I have a message here. The stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. Oh, that's probably because it's just a solid static image. Portable video rig. Oh, well, I guess I could do this as yeah, well, it doesn't matter. All right, so I'll drag it over there. And maximize it. So, you can kind of see how there's the monitor, there's the HyperDeck, there's going to be the switch, there's the surge strip, and then there's the switcher down there. Of course, cables would be going various places, but there is enough room for the power cord of the switch. Might have to be a right angle, not sure. It just depends on how much room there is to play with. Transformers, power cables, SDI cables and such coming out of there, going down into here, and back into here. So I made this, you can kind of see an idea of what it would look like from different angles. There's the front, there's the back. And there's kind of what it'll look like in the case, front and back. So yeah, let's see, pull this back over here. Close it down. Okay, so I think I will put this to duplicate instead of extend. Okay, that way there's always something on there. Okay, so now I need to mount my little switch. This is temporary, as mentioned. And by temporary, I mean it might be days or weeks or months before I get the actual switch that I want. Because I think I've already spent enough money. And my wife said hallelujah, I'm sure, even though she's not watching. I assume she's not watching. I don't know why she's not watching. Does she not love me? Not worth her time. She is out grocery shopping, or at least was grocery shopping. She might not be right now. All right. Plug this little guy in. Oh. Switch over to here. And I may, want to use some Velcro strips to just kind of secure some of this stuff in here that's kind of temporary. Yeah, I won't want to have, well, I guess I can put this facing up now because it will go away when I move to the other switch. All right. Sean and I still have a bunch of stuff to do after this is done, because he needs to proof my audio editing, because he is the director, and we need to test these microphones. Seems as though we've already done plenty of tests, given that they've been using currently, and you like shot an entire episode with them so far. Well. No.
Yeah. But yeah, I looked at doing it in stereo and then doing the processing to eventually.
So I guess the question that I would have is, if you recorded them in mono, how did it show up in the camera, or in DaVinci from the camera? Or did you use?
It didn't record.
Oh, you only did it the one time and it didn't record?
Yeah, because the first time was in your camera, which I didn't. I ended up using the second non 4K, which had less audio channels, because I didn't really use the audio for that anyway. Then yesterday I realized, or whatever day it was, the Bambi and Cassandra audio actually didn't have the audio with it. So I only.
What about the thing you did with Ken?
That was. I just had. It didn't really have. His video and audio didn't have the audio. Audio got it with just for voiceover.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to put the LAN here for the router. That will be in port number 1. Now these are 3-foot cables, I think. Yeah, I'm a little less than 6 feet. So this will be should be a good estimation as to how it will work in here for the SDI cables, because I'm thinking 3-foot SDI cables. So like if this was going to here and then it came across and went down, then that would still be able to pull the switcher out. And so an input going from, say, well, this certainly doesn't need to be 3 feet to go to there. All right. And then it certainly doesn't need to be 3 feet from here to there. But these are the cables that I have here. So I will go that. to there. Obviously, need to do some cable management tidying. This is going to be a very temporary thing. There's no telling how many tens of people will watch this video in the years coming.
That's right.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble! All right, and this is the power adapter for that little router. What time is it?
8:42.
Dear me. I wonder if that's going to be right there. I will unplug this HyperDeck. Plug this in right behind it. Didn't even need to take this twist tie off, probably. This would probably be easier if I didn't have the monitors installed. Is it double-sized? Doesn't look like it. There we go. I hate doing things by touch. Oh, I never even... No, this is on. Oh, yeah, it is on. I didn't see any lights on the back. Okay, and so then I would just take my house network, plug it into there. And so I will have this go into the network in of the monitor. I can not really so much control, but configure would be a better word. The monitor, the HyperDeck, the switcher, the switch when I get a managed switch, the router, and the laptop, everything will be all connected together and I can do connection. Now the HyperDeck's a little bit different because it doesn't have a network interface. The thing that it uses network for is transferring files. You can transfer over FTP, which is nice, although I don't know that I would really have much need to do that. I would just take the SD cards out. But for if you had it installed like in a rack back somewhere else, then I could see benefit to having that option. You know what, I think I'm going to do one more coil on that. I do not have a second battery for that now. But that's okay. Oh yeah, I do have DC in next to the bed in there. But if that camera went away, I still have the other two, and if they went away, then I just end it. Well, I don't know that anybody really cares. Are there still, is it still just you? Or
Hey, we got another comment.
another comment?
Few people watching. Hey, Bambi's watching.
Hey, Bambi.
She says, oh, wait, no, that's
Not Bambi?
Oh, wait, BJ?
Huh?
BJ, whoever that is.
Probably Bambi.
Okay.
Her middle initial is J.
I like the way you built that, whatever that is.
I like to build it, build it. I like to build it, build it. All right. I'm not getting much use out of that camera. Let's switch over to it.
You have it switched still to the computer though.
Oh,
So you're at black.
well then never mind. Another case of bad technical directing.
BJ, hey. That's supposed to be in like the.
Is she saying something inappropriate?
No, I was about to say that's
Oh.
like the Fat Albert.
Oh. Okay, so that'll go there, and then that'll come up to there.
4 watching. Whoa, record.
You might be able to look at analytics on the laptop and see where people are hailing from. If that is information that is of interest. Do we have any international viewers? Oh, does it not say? I know there's some analytics on there. I don't know what all analytics show. Don't forget to smash that like button. Slaves to the algorithm. All right, that goes in there. Yeah, I think you, yeah, I just plug it in. All right, and we'll go over to 2 here. There's a network cable for the HyperDeck, which again is not going to supply power over Ethernet because my switch does not support it. But it shall one day. Unlimited power. Now the next thing that I'm going to have to think about is where to put these microconverters. So there are, probably can't see it very well, but there's a little gap down here, same over there, same up top, and so I could probably put a microconverter in each of those little pockets. The only problem with having the microconverters back in there is you would kind of have to go with a patch panel to be, if you wanted to have them open and usable. Okay, so this is going to come up. Well, it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah. Okay. Doop-doop-doo. Doop-doop-doo. And another Velcro tie.
I can take that off for you.
And all right. Well, this isn't a particularly exciting video. But I never promised it would be. I only promised that it would happen. This is mostly for my own benefit, to make sure everything works and see how everything fits together. You 4 people are just along for the ride. Okay. Doopy-doo, doopy-doo. And this also does Wi-Fi. It has little baby antennas there. Oh, I guess I could probably leave them extended and still be able to put the thing on. And I also have this little USB-A to 3 USB-A and network adapter for the laptop, so I can have it mounted in here and then just go into it, and I can control things and have network for the laptop. I could just do Wi-Fi, but I wanted the USB ports also, that way I can do, because all of this stuff, like for instance these microconverters, you can control them over USB. Now there's not a whole lot that you can do necessarily, like this non-3G one here, the only thing you can do is set it to level A or level. Now that's interesting. Why would you be able to set it to level A or level B if that's a 3G thing? Maybe it is 3G and they just updated it and called it 3G once they released other ones like 12G and stuff. So it may be the exact same thing, just with a different label. And this uses micro USB, whereas the newer one uses USB-C. Let's see, what else to do? We have some USB cables, like I said, to control various things. But you can do a lot of that stuff over the network as well. So I guess what I should do now is, I need to plug the power for the HyperDeck back in. So that it can run, and then I can test the networking of all of it. Doing things by touch. If I may toot my own horn, I'd say I'm rather accomplished at doing things that way. Because I do it a lot. Let's see. Yay. Do that under. This is how I spend my Saturdays.
Hmm.
Apparently, it's how Sean spends his Saturdays too.
Apparently.
If you're a single lady out there, he's single. Just saying.
Yeah, I am. Hit me up.
HMU, baby. Or I guess it'd be HHU, hit him up.
Yeah. Well,
No, Bambi, I'm not saying to hit me up.
I don't think it was taken fine. You were saying it as if I was saying it. Should we switch to the other camera? Oh, you did. Oh, why am I still standing?
Oh, well, you don't have to do anything. I kind of,
Oh, sometimes I lower it or raise it though.
well, look at you. Well, this is one benefit to having a larger case. Sounds like my wife is home. There we go. All right. That'll work. So now I need to connect the laptop to the switch, and I can't disconnect this network cable or else the stream will go down. So what I can do is, well, that's really kind of unfortunate. It may be worth doing like a part 2. Get everything inside of it.
Yeah. You have more cables and whatnot.
Oi! So I can take the laptop here. Another comment. Sorry, I am married.
Why are you sorry?
I think she's talking about the you being single
Oh.
thing. Okay. So I'll put that there. Put that there. That there. It would be nice if there was one front port there. Now see, that's one thing, when I have this, when I have the actual switch and it's mounted, they will all be front facing. So they'll just kind of come in and
Right.
like that. So, okay. Yes, I will make this discoverable. And so now, let's go to computer. All right. And I can fire up, let's see. All right, so I am on the 192.168.8 network, and my Wi-Fi is on the 1, which is my house network. The 8 is oh, okay. 8 is the video rig network. So I can go down. I can't do the ATEM stuff because it's not on the same network. Blackmagic converters setup, that is done through USB. HyperDeck setup, I think that is also done by USB. But I can do the Smart View. Yeah, allow access. So see, it shows that there's one available on the network. And it gives me options of what I can do with it. Of course, this is probably because it's going. I have two different network connections going on at the same time. I can also do it through the USB cable there. Cousin Danielle hopped in here earlier. Don't know if she's still there or not. It says there are 3 concurrent viewers with 2 likes.
2? I have 3. Oh, well, I have 3 online. Interesting.
Oh, yeah?
Jaylee was, and now she's probably asleep.
Okay, so why is it not connecting? He asks. Doop doop doo. All right, well, it should be working. But there you go. Okay. So, oh, I guess no, because those are doing power over them. But if I connected the USB to it, then I could pop up the USB control. Doop, 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 doop. I think that might be about all I can do at the moment until I get more cables and switch the networking and all that type of stuff. But I would say that is a fairly solid test. Actually, one thing that I could do is stop the recording and see how those files look on the computer. But I can't do that because, well, I could do that, but it wouldn't be going into the switcher because I only have the one USB-C connection there. But that's fine. I can terminate the computer for the moment, terminate the recording. And that's actually one benefit. One of the reasons why I wanted to get this switcher instead of another one, instead of the Constellation 1ME. What I'd really like to do is get a 2ME, but I don't want to spend the money for it because that's a lot more money. And but the thing that I like about the ISO is that all the ISO recordings and the line cut both come to this little hard drive. You just plug that little hard drive in, bada bing. It also has a DaVinci Resolve timeline project that has all of your cuts and things of that nature. So if I were to go with the 1ME or eventually with the 2ME, then I would have to do I would have to have a hyperdeck for every input. And it would accomplish the same task, but it wouldn't do the Resolve project, and I would have to have, potentially 8 or 9 if you included the line cut hyperdecks. And subsequently, you'd have just as many SD cards. You'd have to pull them all out. You'd have to transfer them all. It's one hard drive. So one of the reasons why I did this was because if and when the time comes to upgrade, I can still use this just as a recorder, an ISO recorder. And then I'd still have the one hard drive. So I will disconnect the video output, and I will connect the hard drive into here. And I'll switch this over to here so you can kind of at least see the screen. So there you go. And it created a directory with what I named it. And it has
Separated into different files?
uh,
The first one and the second one.
yeah, so this would be the line cut from the first run, line cut from the second run, and I don't know if both of those runs are in this DRP or if it overwrote it. But then inside you have audio files. Don't like that view at all. So it looks like these are temp files maybe, this dot and underscore at the beginning. But then it has actual WAV files of each individual camera. And it looks like 01, 02 because of the 2 recordings, as well as the mic 1 and mic 2. So even though the only thing that I was actually using for audio was the mic 1, it recorded all of them all the time because it doesn't know. You could plug something in, unplug it, and all of them would be the same start, stop, time code, and all that type of stuff. But what you'll notice is that oh, never mind. I was thinking that the audio would be very small. Oh, yes. It does. I believe it records whatever's program audio on all of the tracks, which I don't know if that's the case on like the different cameras as well. So I'm not sure, but maybe it was the videos that all of them do. I haven't done this before, so I may be mistaken on that. There's a high chance that I'm mistaken on that. But I had seen one person reviewing this and said that it was probably on the video side that ones that didn't have anything on them would be much smaller than the ones that did. And that is the case here. So let's see, cam 1 is 74 gigs, but cam, say, 5 is only 126 megabytes because it's solid black. And so then, so apparently it didn't record the super source, and it didn't record the DVE, but it would have that on the line cut when those things were actually live. See, the super source it views just as an input. You have black, media player 1, media player 2, and super source. And so that's kind of cool. Doop, 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 doop. Is there anything else that I should do before I call it quits for the night? I don't think there's really anything else that I can do until the switcher is in the case and the network is disconnected from it. So, with that being said, namaste. I bid you farewell, adieu, all that type of stuff. And if I hit this here fade to black button,